Now, the idea of women experiencing an orgasm without any genital stimulation sounds very perplexing, right? But I did a little bit of research and found out that there is some pretty sound scientific research or evidence in medical journals for the NIPS orgasm. Now, if you want to find out what I learned, you better keep on watching and give this video a huge thumbs up. All right, subscribe if you're not yet subscribed yet, and turn up your notification bell so that you'll be the first to find out my videos. Be right back. Welcome back. My name is Jane Lawrence, aka Juicy Jane, and I come with a lot of juice. In this video, I would be showing you ways you could give your woman a NIP orgasm. Now, do you know that your twin towers, I'll be referring to the boobies as the twin towers, right? Do you know that your twin towers can swell up to 25% when you are aroused, whether you're a man or a woman? And because of this boost, it makes your boobies super sensitive and quite a bit larger. Now, researchers have discovered that stimulation of the NIPS activates an area of the brain known as the genital sensory cortex. This is, of course, the same region that gets activated by stimulating the clit, the vagina, and the cervix. And what this means is that women's brains seem to process NIP and genital stimulation in the same way. And so in the light of this, it is not at all surprising that many women are aroused by having their NIPs touched, and for some, this may be enough to lead to orgasm. But just as all boobs come in different shapes and sizes and colors, women's preferences during NIP play will differ. Some women may love having their NIPs twisted or beaten, while others might just find it pretty uncomfortable and really painful. Also, men note that the sensitivity of our boobies, our twins, changes with our menstrual cycle. So what we may literally like 1 week ago, we may likely not be able to stand it the following week. And that's because the mysterious rhythm of our bodies is kind of, exciting and wonderful and magical, if I might add. So you've got to play around it. You've got to play around it to figure out what pattern works for your partner, what pattern works for your spouse, or what pattern works for your woman, when and how to do it on them. All right. And also remember that getting to know your body is the key to better orgasm. I have said this over and over again. You need to study every single part of your woman's body as well as your man's body. So how do you achieve a NIPS orgasm? I know that's a question that a lot of people are asking now. First off, you need to practice. Just like everything that you've been perfect on came from practicing, you need to practice what works best on your woman's NIPS. Because we all need to realize that our body parts, all the body parts which forms the component of who we really are, react to stimulation in their own different ways. So it's important to experiment. It's important to listen to your body and focus on the pleasure aspect, not necessarily the goal to getting, yourselves to orgasm or to climax. So in order to figure out what works best for you, definitely start with self-pleasuring. It's very important for you to figure out what you want someone else to do to you or to do on you. And that can only happen if you understand your body by way of touching your body. Some people are adverse to the act or the art of touching themselves, but the truth is, when you learn to touch various parts of your body and understand what gets you off, you'll be able to tell your partner what pattern to use, what techniques to use to help you get to your climax. Because the truth is, our anatomies are different from that of the men. All right, the men know how to be pleased. In as much as I talk about men and how to please men, there are certain things that I have said that some men would tell me, no, that's not true. Other men would say, oh, I get off that way. So men are different, people are different, right? Men will only teach you. You're the best. How do I put it? You're the best teacher to your man. You're the best teacher to your woman. All right? And that comes from you knowing every part of your body that gets you off. All right? So that's how you will figure out what you would want someone else to do to you. Plus, you might even find out that one of your nips is more sensitive than the other. All right, then you as a man, you go on to experiment with a variety of touch with either your finger or your tongue. For example, you go for the light to moderate touch using your fingers, or you could just try massaging the entire boobie, then move on to pinching, twisting, or squeezing. Next, you could progress to pulling the nips before focusing directly on the nips itself. Please men, not all women like aggressive squeezing or pulling. Don't go too hard on them. Don't go too hard on the twin towers. They are not your stress balls. I need you to realize, don't drag it or bite it like meat. It is not your meat. Don't make a poor woman regret having you as a partner because she can't put on her bra afterwards. All right, you have to be tender, just as those twin towers are really tender. You have to apply tender pressure, tender feel to the boobies. Just as you don't like us grazing your joystick with our teeth, that's how we don't like you pulling or sucking too hard on our twin towers. All right, sucking it hard does not make it pleasurable. That's the truth. So slowly build anticipation. All right, then apply more direct pleasure to the nips and watch her be overcome with pleasure. But then again, I need you to realize that some people won't be able to achieve orgasm from nip play alone. So once she's close to orgasm or once she's close to climax, feel free to bring, vaginal stimulation into the mix. It still counts as nip orgasm. And it's also totally possible that some women are not really sensitive around the nips. I'm that kind of woman who I think I'm not necessarily really sensitive around the nip, but here's a trick to maximizing that sensitivity around it. You could try nip clamps, right? This might sound a little bit intimidating, like the BDSM kind of thing, but they are actually pretty low-key, less painful than what you see in pictures or in videos. They work by cutting off circulation to the nips so that when you release the clamp, the rush of blood creates a wave of pleasure and increases, sensitivity around the areola. Then at that very moment, you could wrap your lips around it and, suck gently, flick it like this, or wiggle your tongue around the nip. And close your eyes while you're performing this act, because it gets you to really internalize your head movement while you're flicking around it. Your head movement also determines how you move your tongue. So give her a little rolling of your tongue and sucking around her areola and nips. That can give her an amazing feeling. And when you're flicking your tongue, make sure that you give different variation of pressure. Soft, hard, or soft like this. Relaxing your tip. If you want to make it firm, you can make it hard. I like the hard one because it just gives you that as you're flicking it, it's as if you're flicking the clit. Do you get what I mean? Just apply the same pressure that you put on her clit as you go about, giving her that nip play. And then I need you to know that you don't need to use saliva, too much of saliva. Do not use too much of it, all right? Nip play doesn't need to be messy, all right? Because she needs to feel it. When you have a lot of saliva, she might not really feel it that much. Then here's another trick to intensify the sensation around the nip. Try sticking, tape on her nips, right? Then peel it off, all right? Peel it off quickly. It might feel a little bit painful for the woman, but what you would do is when you peel it off quickly, slowly suck on it. Crazy feeling. You're giving her like a mixture of pain and pleasure. The pain just feels like you pouring hot water and then you applying your lips around it and your tongue around it. It's just like you applying cold water on the surface of, a burnt skin. It's a crazy feeling. Or you could experiment with something I call temperature play by rubbing ice on the nips to make them more erect, then applying heat. You could also try rubbing a warm massage oil on them to give all the nerve endings a jolt. And for those with super sensitive nips, you may want to try feather ticklers instead of intense toys like, nip clamps. You could also use suction toys that stimulate oral sex. It can work incredibly well on the nips in between, all right? To this end, I need you to know that nip play or nip orgasm are all about trial and error, all right? You keep trying, you keep practicing, you keep figuring out what works for your partner, what works for your woman, all right? And women, this also applies to men. All of the tips that I have given to you, you could apply to your man. Men also have great sensation when you touch or play with your nips. So allow yourself or your partner to explore your body's abilities with no judgment or expectation. And also have it at the back of your mind that a nip orgasm is like clitoral orgasm. It requires patience, it requires curiosity. All right, so don't be afraid to try various approaches to discover what works well or what feels good for your partner. So you must know that half the fun is in the experimenting. Everything is all about experimenting. You can't really go wrong when you experiment with your partner. All right, and now that will be all. Now, if you've ever had any nip orgasm before, let me know. You could put it in the comment section so that we could have a conversation, and maybe you can give us much more tips on how that transpired. All right, until next time, stay thrilled and Merry Christmas to you.